explore the latest tech and trends in drone autonomy. I'm Vishali and I'm excited to introduce you to our next guest speaker, Josh Ogden, CEO of AVSS. Josh is a technology expert, peer-reviewed published author, and an established entrepreneur with an impressive background in technology and regulatory management consulting. He's also a member of several drone industry-related groups, including the ASTM F38 committees and the Canadian ARPA's R&D task force. Today, Josh will be sharing his expertise on a very fascinating topic, that is the use of parachute recovery systems for BVLOS compliance. So let's dive right into it. The first question, Josh, given that drones are capable of performing barrel rolls in the event of an incident, let's start by discussing how a PRS system can prevent it from occurring.
Yeah, for sure. So the purpose of the parachute recovery system is really to enable regulatory compliance, flight over people, beyond visual line of sight. To get there, we need to meet industry standards such as the ASTM F3322-18-22-23, all the numbers in the world. But in this testing, we need to demonstrate that the system works under different failure conditions, whether it's a single motor, double motor, full power loss. And to do that, to prevent those barrel rolls from resulting in the drone crashing down, you need to have a lot of kick in your parachute. You need to make sure that the system is deploying out fast, it's opening up without getting entangled, and really to prevent those barrel rolls. So a parachute recovery system is detect failure, stop motors from spinning, but ultimately open up the parachute canopy and make it so that the drone is decelerating at an acceptable rate for the regulatory, whether it's 70 joules or 3 meters per second, depending on the size. So the purpose of the parachute is really enabling that and passing and making sure barrel rolls from drones aren't going to cause the drones to come collapse into the parachute because you don't have enough kick when the parachute deploys.
Right. That does make sense. So there's a popular question out there, because there's a parachute on top. Does it affect the endurance of the drone or the flight time of the drone? By how much that is?
Yeah, and it really depends on the drone. On the DJI M30, we're coming in around 280 grams, so we're within the maximum takeoff weight. And on the M300, we're coming in 800-900 grams. So really, with those products, you're looking at a 10 to 20% reduction. But it's really important to know that for these missions, the reduction in flight time is acceptable because ultimately, without that reduction in flight time, you wouldn't receive approval. So it's one of the necessary evils of the drone industry and the regulatory approvals of having those more complex missions that ultimately will save lives, improve efficiency, and generate an ROI.
Yeah, so flight time versus safety, we know who's going to win that game. All right, so how does PRS systems exactly improve the compliance with BVLOS regulations, and what kind of impact that can have on the industry?
Yeah, so for sure. So the big thing is regulators don't want drones falling out of the sky causing harm to bystanders. Yes. They don't really care about your drone. They really care about the bystanders that are walking around. So a parachute recovery system is going to be that ticket to demonstrate in the event of a failure, single source, whether you lose a propeller, whether you have a full power loss. It shows it to the regulator that you're not going to kill somebody. And that's a critical point. And I think there's the regulatory, practical engineering, scientific biomechanics side, but there's also the social acceptance. The nearby mom, dad, they don't want a drone falling out of the sky and falling into and hitting little Timmy. So it's also really critical to have that social acceptance. So there's dual aspects on, at least there's the safety devices so that, you're within the kinetic energy, but also that there's an element considering our fellow citizens.
Right. And how does the PRS system integrate with different types of drones and payload configuration? Does it require some special kind of training? Is there a learning curve for remote operators to use it efficiently?
For the drone manufacturers and the integrations, there's some steps in third-party testing, but once it's integrated, it should be simple. We have solutions that, like our integration with CityMesh, it just wakes up and goes. They need to be aware of the protocols, if their remote fails, how to trigger the parachute, some simple button through the flight-based software. If it's line of sight, pressing a big red button, and understanding the drift zones. But the training is rather minimal and very simple. We really focus on an intuitive design. We want it there. We want you to know it's there, but you don't have to put in a lot of effort to understand all the elements because we try to simplify it as much as possible so that we've done all the work for you in advance.
Right. I just go back to the first part on the question. What are the different types of drones, drone models does the AVSS parachute support? Is it just the DJI, or does it also support other custom drone frames?
Yeah, so we work on the DJI M30, the M200, the M300, as well as we work directly with drone manufacturers such as Workhorse Technologies, who do drone delivery. So we've got our solutions dedicated to like the DJI Autel product lines, but we also have working directly with drone manufacturers, similar to how an airbag's integrated tightly, working directly with them. And in the future, I think you'll see parachutes more tightly coupled, and they'll be there, but most people won't even know, similar to how your airbag is in your car. Do you know what makes that, right? It's just there.
That does make sense. So could you just describe a scenario or a case study when a PRS system transformed a disastrous crash into an epic Hollywood-style parachute landing?
Yeah, so like some of the examples, like we see the flight logs. When a parachute deploys, customers will come to us. We really provide transparent insight on what happened to their drone. Some of the cases where, you see the parachute hanging off a tree, landing on an apartment building, drifting over a highway. So we see those consequences after some ground photos. And ultimately, though, the alternative is those drones would be, into a car, flying into a window. So that's a key element as well. With our new guided parachute, we're actually introducing new safety functions where not only does the parachute deploy and kill the motors and reduce the kinetic energy, but we're actually able to land in predetermined safety zones, similar to like a rally point. And so that technology that's been being developed for the last several years is coming to market here soon, and it will really transform how the parachute market's working.
All right, that does make sense. So what kind of impact do you see AVSS PRS systems are having on the drone industry, especially in the coming years? And how do you see this technology evolving?
Yeah, so like we see the impact today. We have over 50 dealers worldwide for our DJI product lines. We have drone manufacturers selling worldwide our integrated solution, and we see what they're doing. We have customers flying, downtown Toronto, CN Tower, 7 million people. We have people doing LRT inspections, beyond visual line of sight, over people operations, and we're seeing that impact today. I think in the future, AVSS's technology is just further enhancing the industry, helping it grow. We're one piece of the pie. There's the software, there's the detect and avoid, and there's many solutions as part of that. But we're key enabling to get them to that first step. Before we go BVLOS, we need to be allowed to fly over people.
Right. I think that does sound right. And definitely, like you said, the biggest takeaway for me would be, how airbags are a part of cars, and we pretty much are not aware of it. It will become a default thing for drones as well. Parachutes are going to definitely be that one system that's going to be a default for every drone.
Yeah, for sure, especially for BVLOS and ops over people. If you're flying the drone maybe in an agriculture field, you don't need an extra weight. Right. But really, when we think of the drone industry, we think of automation.
Right.
BVLOS is where we all want to go, and to get there, we need to have those safety systems that they're there, they work, but we don't see them.
Right. Thank you so much, Josh, for your time today and for having this conversation with us. So this is kind of the last episode of NestGen Xpress. See you all soon again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy day.
Bye.